Hello, Steve White, Steve RC9. Well, I'm here with my David Cornsweat Superman. I got the full 7 inches. Now, the film has done okay. It has underperformed, and there are a lot of issues, but it has done okay. So it's done 122 at the domestic box office and 95 at the international box office. So the whole sort of world box office is 217, I believe, which is okay. But it is well under the sort of early estimates, because the early estimates were pretty astronomical. They were saying 200 million, 170 million, 170 to 200 million, in that range. It was going to be huge, it was going to be gigantic. And then they started saying 135, maybe 120. So they did underperform, but they kind of hit where the sort of later projections are, which were pretty much the numbers that were coming in. So yeah, 217 million box office worldwide, and 122 for the opening weekend domestically. Now, I was watching Grace Randolph's video, and she does the breakdown, and a lot of Caucasians, 41%, Hispanic only 26%, Black 19%, 9% Asian. So it really wasn't a hit outside of white males. It didn't get a lot of women either. Male was 66%, which was more than Deadpool and Wolverine. Which, so I think the reason for that is, Rachel Brosnahan was barely featured in the marketing. It was all about James Gunn. And whenever we saw Superman who was being beaten down or struggling, so I don't think the machismo was there for the Hispanics. And the women didn't really see much of Lois Lane. It was all James Gunn. And James Gunn's not Hitchcock and he's not Spielberg. So having him up front, making the film all about him, making the universe all about him, writing on his name, he's just not as big a name as people think. And kind of like Michael Bay, there's people who love him, but some people don't, and most people don't care. So that was a failure. They should have had Lois and Superman out there front and centre, and Nicholas Hoult. But who even knows who Nicholas Hoult is? Because it's a little bit embarrassing to find out that Lois and Clark only got paid $1 million each for the film, whereas Nicholas Hoult got paid, I think, $2 million. And he's not even a star. Like, whoever knows who he is, I don't even know who he is. The original film had Gene Hackman and Marlon Brando. They had names. This didn't have anyone. So that was another issue why it didn't do as well as it could have. But just the fact that they alienated a large part of the audience. They had the Snyder Bros against them the whole time. They last minute, upset the MAGAs. And if you think that wasn't real, I mean, you can see all the Fox News, all the people talking about it. Dean Cain came out carrying on. They really did aggravate them by pointing out that Superman is an immigrant because he's white, so they don't see him that way. So you didn't need to point that out. It did not help. And you can see that by how it did in the red states. It didn't do as well in the red states as it could have. And the bigger films do well in the red states. That's the difference. If you alienate the MAGAs and the conservatives, your film's not going to make $1 billion. It's pretty simple. You engage them, or at least not offend them, and you might make $1 billion or more, like Top Gun did. And they had James Gunn out there basically telling them to F off. So that was a good one, James. So, yeah, so the film has done okay, but was it worth it? They threw out a universe that was already established, although struggling. They fired an actor who they just assured us was coming back, for nothing, basically. They're making the same money. This film is going to make the same money as the Batman or the last Superman film. So the Batman's the best example because it's closer to the box office and it's more recent and it's, but they're only making, I think this film only made like maybe $5 million more than the last Superman film, which was 13 years ago. So when you add inflation, it's basically the same, maybe even a little less, or less people in the audience because they're paying more for tickets. So what did they achieve? Did they get more people in the audience? No. Did they get new people coming in? Not really. It looks like they have launched a new DC, but they would have done better, I think, just rebranding the old one, basically getting rid of, Zack Snyder, but keeping Henry Cavill. So you get some of the Snyder Bros would stay. You wouldn't be alienating and aggravating the rest of them. And you wouldn't be, having to ask people to, accept and embrace a new Superman. Just sort of telling them, we're changing the tone, we're making this, better because, Snyder was a bit dark. That would have been enough to get a bump, and they would have been better off than where they are now. They basically threw everything out, got rid of Cavill, got rid of the universe, spent a whole bunch of money on promotion to set up a new universe to get the same box office that they did before. So was it worth it? I don't think so. As much as I love David Cornsweet, he seems like a wonderful actor and he really believes in Superman, and people are comparing him to Chris Reeves, which they didn't really do with Cavill or Brandon Routh. And also I do love the costume. It's very sexy. Sometimes the more you cover, the more you see and want to see. So I'm surprised how well that went after all the early images. But yeah, so the film's going to do okay. It's going to do Batman money. And they're talking about, well, you need to combine the Batman and Superman now. It's like, that's not happening. So their only hope is not happening. So the film did okay, but who knows? We'll see what the final numbers are and what the next step is. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Maybe ding the bell, go to my channel, actually look for videos, because they won't be coming up in your feed because YouTube doesn't like small YouTubers. But